Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Cleveland Brown Jr. from the Cleveland Show. He goes with the rest of my Cleveland Show set. This is an advanced level project and we're going to be using a double loom for parts of it. I'll just say now I've got a bit of a cold, so please be patient with me. Try and walk you through this as easily as possible. For this pattern you're going to need red bands, blue bands, white and gray. If you don't have enough of one of those, you can do all white or all gray. Brown, a little bit of black. You're going to need some C-clips, a hook and a holding hook. We're going to do some of this on the loom, double loom, so 6 rows across, all even. We're going to do a couple of parts on the standard loom with 3 rows and the middle row just above the other 2. For the eyes and glasses, I'm using a couple of large pearl beads. I'm going to thread them on with dental floss, and I will be drawing in the pupils and the eyelids with brown and black Sharpie markers. And if you want to make the stems for the glasses, you can follow me and use black thread. You'll need scissors. I'll show you how to do that, or you can use a black twist tie, a black wire, or a black band, but it's going to be thicker that way. So I think we are ready to start. We're going to do the arms and the legs first, and I have one of each made, so I will be asking you to pause when you get to the first one done, so you can do the second on your own. For our arm, we need our smaller loom, and we're going to start with 2 red bands from the top center peg to the second peg down in the center. Come down once more and switch to brown, double brown bands 4 times. From the 3rd to the 4th, the 4th to the 5th, the 5th to the 6th, and the 6th to the 7th. We're going to repeat this all on the left row. If you'd rather do it on the right, it's okay, you just have to reverse things when you're looping. We're going to come down twice with double red, 4 times with double brown. Now we need some crossover holding bands. We want them to be tight, so we're going to take a single red, double it over, and bring it across your second peg on the left, your second and third pegs on the right. Makes a little triangle, sorry, on the middle. For the next one, we're going to use brown. We'll put it on the 4th center and the 3rd and 4th side pegs. Makes a triangle going in the opposite direction. And now we're going to take a single, double it over, stretch it down diagonally from your 5th center to your 5th side, and repeat that below. And for our last holding band, you're going to hate me, but we need this to be really, really tight, so so that it doesn't get like really loose and lumpy at the bottom. So the last cap band, we're going to try and get this over 4 times. So stretch it across, twist, bring it back 1, twist, second time, and this will be 4 loops onto those 2 pegs. And then we are all ready to loop up this section. So you're going to go under, we'll start on the side here, go under this holding band, go inside, catch the bottom double over band, and loop it up and forward. Push back, go inside everything, get your bottom doubled over band, and bring that forward. And you're bringing 2 loops forward each time. We're going to go straight to the top doing this, and then we'll repeat it on the center row. Just stop at the top, come back down, and repeat. Loop straight forward. Stay inside your holding bands. Now you can put your hook through the bands on the top center peg and the top left peg and remove from your loom. we're just going to put this onto 2 red bands. And this can go on your holding hook, and it occurred to me I didn't put my other 2 on, or my other set on too, so I'm going to do that now. Pause your video please and make your second arm, and then we can do the leg together. For the leg, we're going to be using a lot of doubled over bands. We're going to have some tension here, but it will make for a nicely shaped little shoe. So take a single brown, double it over, come down the center 2 times, and we'll do that on each of our rows. Hold this up for you in just a second. And let me actually change this. We're gonna make the second one on the center into a gray band. So that's where we have the little tongue of our shoe. So sorry, that second one down is gonna be gray. We're coming down on either side 1 time with the doubled over white from the 3rd peg to the 4th. And underneath that, on either side, a doubled over gray. In the middle, we're coming down with gray until we meet that same section. So we'll come down 3 times with doubled over grays. Doubled over gray from the side left to the center 6th. So 1 from the left inward and 1 from the right inward, coming inward. We're going to take a single white, double it over, and it's going to go across your 3rd pegs down and form a triangle over those 3 pegs down if you count on each row. Above that, we want a single doubled over brown over the 2nd pegs. And our last 2 doubled over bands, holding bands, are going to be gray. Take a single and cap off the bottom 6th peg down in the center. You want it to be a little bit tight, so 3, you could do 4 or 5 times is fine. And the last thing for this section, this is optional, but it looks kind of cool. Your little shoe tongue tab, which you always see in the cartoon, we're going to make that. Take a single gray, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the hook. You can do it 1 tighter if you want to, or leave it at that. Single, double it over, pull your wrapped on top, pull this onto a doubled over single, stretch across your 3rd side peg to your third side peg, and we're going to pop this over the white in the center, but when we do, you want to get inside that band and pull it onto that 3rd peg. So there is our shoe. We can loop it up, go under your cap band, and get your next top 2 gray, bring them up and over to the side. And they're coming from the right. This is where things start to get a little bit harder. So as I said, bear with me. I'm gonna hold those up to the side so I can grab them more easily. They're coming up to the side, go back in, and the next 2 are coming to the left side. And they all want to move together. There's 1. Here's 2. And the last ones are going to be going through, up, and over to the peg above. It's really easy to catch the wrong ones here because it's really tight, they're really close together, and we have several bands of the same color. So please take your time with this, and on the flip side, if you find I'm going too slow, you can always go ahead. So I looped up 2 in the middle. I'm going to loop up the sides, push back all but the bottom doubled over, and bring it forward. Push back your triangle, get your bottom whites, bring them forward, continue to the top. We'll do the same thing on the right side. And in the center, we'll go back to that 4th peg down. We'll loop forward, try and get it over that little shoe tongue if you can. Loop forward again. If your shoe tongue is not in the middle, you can always pop it through once this is off the loom. It's okay. And loop up one last time. I'm going to release a little tension just on the bottom here so it's easier to take off. And then I'm going to put my hook coming from the top and pushing through to the bottom. The loops on the top right peg, then through the top center peg, there are 4 loops on each, and through the top left peg. You can use an extra holding hook here if it makes it easier for you. Make sure your tongue is in place, and we're going to put this onto 2 of the blue that you're using for your shorts color. Can't remember now if I mentioned, but I wasn't really happy with the belly on my first one, so we're going to make 1 or 2 little changes to try and improve that. Alright, I'll get you to pause the video and make your second shoe. When you have these on your holding hook, you can come back with your double loom all set here. And it's time for us to start on the body, the main body. So this is gonna take us a while, but we can do this. We're gonna start with 2 red bands and come from the top. Well, if you're counting from the left side, we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, and take those 2 bands and bring them across. So they're right in the middle. I'll try and get you a better camera angle here. We're going to come out in either direction with 1 set of double bands. So now we have our center set, and on top of it 1 set out to the left. In either direction, we're coming down diagonally to the 2nd peg on the left side and to the 2nd peg on the right side. And on each of our rows, we're going to come down. Well, let's start with, yeah, they're going to come down the same on all of them. So let me count that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times on all of the center rows and 6 times on the side rows. And what I like to do here is get 1 row finished, and then I can, instead of counting all the others, I can just even them, like lay them up to that point. I'll know that it's right. Not that it hurts to double count or double check, but this way we don't have to count it every time. I'll tell you now also that the loom I'm working with is kind of a weak loom. I've told you this in past videos, but just so you know, I'm going to be working a little bit slowly and taking sections off as I go when I am looping it up. And you can always do this at your own pace, whatever is most comfortable. Boy, I'm looking at all these bands I've got out. This is going to be such a mess to clean up later. That's okay. A little bit of mess is is all right when you're doing art. And just a couple more here. So 7 rows coming down, double bands, so 2 bands each on each of the center rows, and your side ones have 6 sets each so that they all line up. And now we're going to switch to our brown. I'm going to make a change from my original pattern and take 2 blue to put on either side. See, originally I had brown on the side. I wanted just a little bit shine. We're going to make these into blue. In the middle, we're just going to have 1 row of double brown. Initially I used 2 rows, but I feel like it was too much belly and not enough shorts at that point. If you do want a longer belly, you can always keep to the double row there. Now I'm going to make the next row all blue, using all of the rows, each set of pegs here, double bands still. And the one after that is going to be all double blues. And the row after that is going to have 1 set coming down on the second row in from the side. So skip the first pegs for a second, go to the next one. And on the next 3 rows, we're going to have double blue bands. Now from the peg on our furthest most side, we're coming down with double bands and we're moving it down diagonally, looking at the second row up from the bottom of the loom and the second peg inwards. We're repeating this on the other side. Now you can take your legs, your feet, your boots, whatever, and you're going to take the 4 loops. You're going to take 2 loops and put it on the second peg in from the side, and 2 loops on the third peg in. And once more we will mirror that on the next 2 pegs across here with your other foot. We don't have to connect the center part because we want the shorts to hang just a little bit loose, a little separate. Oh, and you know what? That's actually good that I caught that so I can make a note of it. Watch the direction your shoe is coming in. You can always pop your tongue back out to the other side, but it's actually easier if you put it on with the tongue sticking face up. And we don't have to switch anything around. Although honestly the front and the back of this are going to look pretty similar, but like of the body. But we'll do this properly here. So our shoes are on, the tongues are sticking out. Your arms are going to go onto the top peg on either side. So go to that second peg in on the top row. I'm actually just going to pop the arms sort of up and out so that they're not going to be in our way. This goes on the other side. Kind of look like big floppy dog ears now. That's okay. We will put our holding bands across. You can use bands that are already stretched out. On the second row down from the top, we're using a red band and bringing it across all of those bands. And do it again on your third set down, on your fourth set down, on your fifth set down, and for the next 2. If you want the body to stick together a little tighter, then you can, and I'll give you this option now. You can skip the extension that we're doing soon, and or you can tighten these bands by doubling them half over, twisting it and bringing it back over half of the bands. For our next 4 rows, we're using blue bands. Let's do 3. I think we're just going to do 3 here. Check my picture in a second. And that's right, you don't have to have, there goes my loom. You don't have to have a band across on that second set from the bottom. But what we can do, sorry guys, give me 1 second here. What we can do is take a single, double it over, and bring it across the first 3, and do that again for the other side. And that will keep it from being too loose or too separate here. Alright, before my loom pops, let's get the extension together. You're going to take a single red, twist it once and twice, pull it onto 3 sets of double red bands. Take 2 single bands, and you're going to go on, pull it onto 1 single band, and then onto a second single band. And this is going to go from the second peg down on the side, so the peg below your arm. You're going to reach into that cap band at the bottom. This is going to go onto your second last red band. So you're going to skip over the next 4 pegs and place this onto the 5th peg down from there. Now from each section you want to take part of 1 strand or part of 1 chain and pull it over the corresponding pegs. And here and here. We'll do this again on the right side. Single wrapped twice, pulled onto 3 sets of double red, and then pulled onto a single and onto let me make sure I get that all. Another single. We're going to lay this down on the opposite side in the same manner. It's actually a little bit easier if you pull out of the bottom chains first and then work your way upwards. At least in this case I find it is. Okay, I'll get you to have a look at the loom and I'll be right back. We'll start on to the next part. Alright, we're ready to loop up. So, we need a couple of cap bands here and then we're ready. 3rd peg in from the side on your 2nd row from the bottom of the loom. We're going to cap 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And do that again on the 4th peg from the left or the 3rd peg from the right. It's just the one next over. Okay, on the left side, you're going to go under that cap band, and you're going to get, hang on, let's push those legs out of the way. You're going to go under, you're going to get the bottom 2, and bring them forward. And on the next side, that's the next peg over to the left, you're going to get the top 2 from under the leg piece and bring it up to the left and go back in and come up 1 time. I'm just going to loosen that up a little bit. Now I'm going to be loosening things everywhere just to keep the tension low. Now on the left side, you're going to go to the bottom 2, bring them forward, and we're going to loop forward all the way up. Push back everything once you get to that red extension and just take the bottom 2. And this is going to be kind of tight, so your time, be careful, make sure you're getting the correct bands. If you pull off your holding band instead of a bottom one, you're going to have loose pieces on the side. You're going to have your body gapping apart with big holes. It won't be so pretty. And when you get to that second peg from the top on the side, you can go in, get the bottom two, and bring them up and forward diagonally to the second peg in on the top row. Go back in at the bottom, second row in, take your bottom two, push everything else back, and we're going to loop straight forward to the top of the loom again. So it isn't a really complicated procedure here, it's just, as I said, a bit of tension that we're working with and a lot of bands. So you just want to be careful as you go. And when you get to the top, you're going to go into that second peg on the side, find the bottom two most bands, they're coming from the right, and we're going to pull them up and through and back to the right. And at this point I'm going to take off the whole left row, as I said, just to ease off the tension here. I promise one of these days I'll get myself a better double loom, but sometimes you just gotta work with what you got handy and local and whatnot. I'm gonna go into the third row over. Sorry, I can't tilt this up too much. My loom doesn't like to be lifted. Maybe I'll move the camera over for you. Just for a second. So I'm gonna go under here. This is the third row in. We've taken off the first row on the side. We're gonna get the bottom two, bring them forward, and come up continuously up that row. Pulling that band out to the side so I can see it better. And looping forward, you're bringing forward two bands on each loop, like each time you loop. We're going right to the top. Now if you prefer to loop one time across and one time across and one time across, you can do it that way as long as you're moving in an upwards direction. I'm just finding this a little bit easier. As I said, it kind of helps me to reduce the tension and secure things, and it's also a good way to keep your place if you are worried about missing a row if you're jumping back and forth. I'm going to stop at the top there, and we're going to go back to the bottom and repeat everything on the right side. So go under that cap band, get your top, you can actually secure the leg in sideways if you want, but I'm going to go under everything and repeat what I did on the other side. Get the bottom two, loop it forward, and go on the right piece, get the next top two and loop them up diagonally to the right side where they came from. If I can get under here. And go back for the last two and bring them forward. And basically we're just going to loop up all three of these rows and then loop inwards. So I'll start in the fourth row from the right. Actually I should start on the right side, but it's really all the same. I was just thinking for the sake of tension reduction again. Whatever you're doing though, if you are taking some looped rows off, to make it easier, just be sure that you leave the top row all on for now. You don't want to lose hold of any of those. I'm going to take off this row on the left, but I'll stop just before I get to the top. Now if you want, you can always loop everything up and then take your rows off after. This, for me right now, is a little bit easier. We have our last two rows. I'm going to start on the far right side, but you can do either row. It's kind of all the same now. I just want to be able to take this one off a little bit faster. Push back the holding bands when you go. Push back your extension bands. You only want the bottom ones. and up inwards diagonally. And our last row, go straight up. This is the one that I've left is the second row in from the right side. I'm gonna take some things off as I move this forward. I don't trust my loom very much. And just keep an eye as you're going. If you see any bands that look a little bit loose, this is a good time to catch them. This is a good time to go back before everything is secured together at the top. Have a couple of C-clips on hold just in case. We're going to come in from the right side one time. So push back everything to get your bottom two bands. And we're going to bring them back over to the left where they came from. And then we need to get the double bands that are under the middle two. So you can go under on the left or the right. You're going to bring it up and catch it on your finger or your hook. Go in on the other side, bring it up and catch it. This is a little bit tricky. You might want to put it on a C-clip or a hook even as you're doing this. And I'm going to put a hook through it, and then I'm going to take the rest of this off of the loom. I'm going to show you what we have here. Oh, this is so my least favorite part of this. Almost there. At least some of it was off as we went along, so that makes it a little bit easier. But it still takes an awfully long time to get this thing off. Sometimes at this part I feel like I'm battling against the loom. I don't want to just pop this off at the because that could risk breaking some of my bands. That would be even worse. Oh, that's starting to get a little bit easier. If you're already past this part, feel free to jump ahead. I'll be right back with you. I think I see a loose band on mine. I'll have to check that in a minute. Or it might just need to be tied in. I'm going to try and pull this off from the top now. There we go. Okay. No, that looks all right. This all goes on to double red bands, and then we can put this on the side for a minute. It doesn't really have to go into double red, but I find it a little easier to attach. All right, our body is done. That was the hardest part. So if you're still with me, congratulations. You've done very well here. Hopefully with a little less struggling than I went through. We're coming back to the big loom one more time. The layout's a little bit easier here, I guess. Go to the second, or sorry, we'll go to, when did I start this? Yeah, the third and fourth pegs again from the side, double black bands. And we want one more set of double black bands to come towards the left. On each row, we're coming down 3 times with double brown bands. And when I say each row, I just mean here, each of the rows we have black bands on. So counting from the side, we're going to the second row in, the third row in, and the fourth row in, and each of those has 3 sets of brown. I'll also add here, you know what, I think I'm going to make the face a little bit longer perhaps, but we'll start with this and go from here. He's kind of square face. We want it a little rounder. we're gonna take the body and it's gonna go onto the 4th peg down on your 3rd row in. So on the middle of those brown bands we've just placed. This is where it gets a little bit awkward because we want the body here, but we want it kind of out of the way. So make sure it's facing upwards, which means any mess is on the back and your shoes' tongues are on the front. And you're gonna press this down over a couple of the pegs underneath here. So I've just found a gap between the bands and I've stuck this on here because we're gonna be doing some more looping over it. It looks messy, but it will all come together. We're gonna come down one more time on each of those 3 rows. Just lay it down on top of the body. And this should all stretch back into shape after too. If you want the face to be a little longer and rounder, I think I am gonna keep it the way I did it, but if you want it to be a little longer and rounder, you can even go down one more time. From here, I'm gonna take 2 black bands and come from the 2nd peg in on the top to the 2nd peg down on the side. We're gonna do this on the opposite side, from the 4th peg in from the side, down onto the 2nd row, the 5th peg in from that right, from the left. Come down with double brown bands 2 times on each of those rows where we laid the black. So on the left, we come down twice, and on the right, come in once from the right, 2nd row down, and come down twice with brown bands. Now if you want to try to make the face a little bit longer, you can add an extra row here, 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 and here before connecting diagonally. I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to come down from the left 4th to the 5th down on the 2nd row in. And I'm going to do the opposite for the opposite side. And we're coming in horizontally from the 2nd left to the 3rd, excuse me, the 2nd left peg to the 3rd left peg, and the 4th peg from the left to the 3rd peg from the left. I'm not sure if this is confusing you or not, but if you're not following my words, then have a look at the picture here. We're going to put some holding bands on. They're just going to be straight round brown bands, and we're going to go across the 2nd row down, stretch it across all of the bands you have on those pegs, and the 3rd one's down, and the 4th one's down. For the eyes, if you're using bands, you're going to wrap each eye 3 times onto your hook, and then pull them onto. You can actually pop off this brown band to use the 2nd one that we put on. If you're using beads with a large hole, you can put them onto your hook and transfer them onto that single brown. And I'm just going to take this off. This was the middle holding band row. If you have beads with a small hole, as I do, you're going to thread a piece of dental floss, thread, or wire through. You can use a needle and thread if you want. Pull it through that brown band. Bring your floss or wire back over and go back through the beads. And just to give credit again, I'll tell you that this technique is one I discovered on Kate Schultz's channel, Isalicious Designs. Okay, so we slide the beads back on. If you are using a different color, I would suggest that you don't use black or brown, just because it's going to kind of blend in with the face. But if you want to use blue or green, or wrap a couple of whites around the the brown, that's okay. We're going to stretch these across whatever kind of eyes you used. Count down 3 times from the top. You're stretching them across. There goes my loom again. And we're going to be taking our hook, separating the eyes, and separating, I'll show you in 1 second, the band in between to place it on your 3rd peg in from the left on that row. So the band will go across all of the row, but it's separated between the eyes right here. And I think that's everything. I think we're about ready to, yeah, we're ready to loop. Oh, I'm excited, we're so close. We just have a couple finishing touches after this. So let's put a holding band on the 5th peg down, the 3rd row in from the left side. 1, 2, 3 twists I will give it. This is going to be a little tricky because you've got your body right underneath, so you just have to try and push things down as best you can. Hold on to your cap band, don't let it slip. You're going to go under it and get the top 2, bring it to the side. And back to the side it came from. Push it down as you get it. And do that again to the other side with your next 2. If it helps, you can pop those bands out to the side a little bit and go back in, get the bottom 2 brown, nothing red, just the bottom 2 brown, bring it upwards. Now we're coming in on one of the sides. You can pick your side, get the top 2, they're diagonal, they're coming upwards, and the last 2 go forwards. And we do this on the other side, and then you can start looping forward on pretty well any of the rows. Just don't connect the top section just yet. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Top 2 diagonal, next 2 go up. I'm gonna start at the 2nd row in, I'm gonna go forward. Loop up the side, but I'm going to stop at the 2nd one from the top. And we're going to do this for the rest of the rows here. So go under the red of your neck, get your bottom 2 brown, bring it forward, push back the pieces that are holding the eyes, and go straight to the top. Do the same in the next row. You're just going to loop forward. And last row, go inside and loop to the top. Now we can bring our side black bands upwards. Loop in from the left towards the right. Top row 2 black. Do the same on the opposite side, and we're going to take 2 black bands to secure the bands on the center peg. You can do just one if you want to save bands, but we really don't want this coming apart now. Push your hook through everything on that central band. Take your 2 securing bands, pull them through, pull the other side over, and bring one side over the other to secure, and we can take this off of the loom. We're going to get this all off of here. Again, easing it off carefully, starting at the top and working our way downwards. Almost done, guys. Okay, take your body off. You're going to find the head is sitting a little strangely on the body, but we're going to fix that right away. Okay. So you want to turn the head so that on the front of the body it's laying on top kind of. Pop your eyes through. We're going to hide the securing band in the back under a couple of nearby bands. So slip under a couple of bands, catch your securing band on and pull it through. I'm going to do this again so that it's kind of tight on here. And this is going to go onto a C-clip. You might want to just put it on a side C-clip for now, like just leave it kind of loose so that if you're making glasses it won't be in the way. I think that's what I'll do here. I'll secure this a little better after the glasses are on. Okay, the next thing to do is press the face where you want it. Go through the chest right in the middle with your hook. You're going to take 1 or 2 of your cat band pieces that we use for the chin and pull those to the back. And you can kind of weave that in a little bit as well. So I'm going to get a loose red band, pull it under those 2 browns, and press that onto a C-clip. Maybe we'll even, this always takes a little bit of fiddling, but I'm going to catch a piece of the head from the back as well too, so it doesn't flop over as much. Well, that's not too bad. Okay, let's put this onto a C-clip. As I said, you might need a couple. If you have any loose bands, you can secure them at the back at this point. I'm going to show you how to do the glasses with a string, and then I'll put the eyes on, and I think we're just about done here. Okay, so if you are using a string or a wire, whatever you'd like, you can take a little piece of thread. And if you sort of stretch your eyes out, there's a little triangle that will form to the left. You want to reach in from the back and get through that triangle, because that will make this sit right next to your eyes. And this is hard to do. It takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of looking. If it's not right there, it's okay, but you want to get it close. You're going to take your thread and hook it around the end of, loop it around the end of the hook and pull it carefully to the back. If you're using a needle instead, you can use your needle to pull it through. Now once your thread is on the back, you can reach around and tie it in the back place. I'm not sure how good the lighting is for this, but that's how you get your glasses on the side. You're just going to tie it in the back, trim your excess thread. I would give it at least 2 or 3 knots. For the glasses in the middle, we're going to do something similar. Find that spot, that triangle piece. This can be really tricky, but you want to find the triangle of the band that the eyes are on next to it, but on the inside. Catch your band again, carefully pull it through. This might take you a couple of tries. I know it took me a little bit of doing. And you're going to get that to the back. I lost it. Try this one more time here. Let's make sure you can see it. If you want, you can even tie a knot on it further down the string when it's coming through, if you feel that'll help you. Just want to get this through so you can see it. Okay. And then you want to do the same on the left side and bring it back right next to it there. Okay, so that's how you do the glasses. I'll make sure I have them for the thumbnail. And for the eyes, if you want to put on the eyelid and pupil, you take brown band, run it across the top. You don't have to have a lid if you just want the pupil itself, that's fine. Try and get it in a kind of an even line. We'll do the same on the left side, and make sure your eyes are positioned where you want them to be before you draw this on, because otherwise it can end up looking uneven. So that's with the eyelids, and then you can just do a little dot underneath of the size that you like. And there he is. So thank you for watching. I hope you'll check out some of my other Seth MacFarlane designs, and I'll give you one more note here. If you want the arms to sit closer to the body, you can turn it to the back, go through a couple of body pieces, grab a section out of the arm, slide it through, and put it on a C-clip, and that will help it to stay in position. Okay, so again, thank you for watching, and check out some of my other tutorials.